Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I have with me another very special guest, an entrepreneur and a businessman who's been around the world and to 120 plus cities. He's Craig Schulze, and hailing from Australia. G'day, mate.
Hey, thank you for having me on the show. Looking forward to spending some time with you.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and concise, as the
Sure.
teacher asks the student?
I'll be concise. So I'll put 43 years into 60 seconds. So I live in Melbourne, Australia, been in business for 20 years. I fired my boss when I was 21 to follow my dreams and passion. I had 5 fitness clubs. I was a multi-award winning fitness trainer. I built a 7-figure online business, a property investor in private companies, published my own book, You've Got One Shot, which is You've Got One Shot at Life. I have a podcast off the back of that. So a diverse entrepreneur. And as you mentioned, I've traveled all over the world as well.
So let's start with firing your boss at 21. What was it like, that kind of drunkenness of power?
Yeah, interesting time because I actually left home when I was 15 and was self-financially funded from age 17. And I went through university, put myself through university, got that great engineering degree and a great job, and things looked good. And 12 to 18 months into that, I just didn't really align with what I saw myself. I didn't see myself trading time for money, and I was passionate about sport, health, fitness, wellness, and not so much about sitting behind a desk. So I asked my boss if he would allow me to go to part-time so I could do some, mix 2 jobs together. And he said no. And I said, well, I'm going anyway, and it'll be all the way.
Yeah, so when you kind of leave your job, whatever job it is, and you know the future is uncertain immediately, almost. So how does it feel like to leave that job and try to, essentially open a new page, a new chapter in your life that is, you have to spend that ink, shall we say, to write it.
Yeah, look, it was scary times, and I had some self-doubt because while I put myself through university to get that good education and get a good job, I was going out to be self-employed, self-funded, and I actually not only left my job, I left the state as well, where all my connections were. And I had one car full of whatever I could fit into it. And I caught the boat to mainland Australia, as I was on the island state, and then drove a couple of states and set up there. So it was going into complete and utter uncertainty. But I was in that situation where the back was against the wall. I'd burnt the boats, and it was like, you go and make money or you don't eat. You go and make money or you don't have a roof over your head. I was in that situation, and I wouldn't encourage that to lots of people because not that many people probably have the mindset and the will to do whatever it takes to survive. So, I did it, and I'm proud of that experience now, but probably not want to go through that again.
Yeah. So when you're doing kind of your world tour, was it like a business or a pleasure, shall we say?
Yeah, look, as I mentioned, I owned multiple fitness clubs and I did really well there. I was highly regarded in that area. And again, there's always a time in life where you want to change things. And for me, getting up at 10 to 5 in the morning, getting home at 8 o'clock at night, owning all these bricks and mortar businesses, I wanted to be a bit more free. I wanted to do something online. I wanted to work from home, and I didn't want all the stuff and the headaches. And a part of that was for travel. And I transitioned out of owning businesses into working online, traveling the world. And I got to experience what the world has to offer, and done some remarkable and incredible experiences along the way as well.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious, my podcast is named Thoth the Scribe, and I'm trying to, increase the wisdom that is being projected into the universe through talking. Um, I think, what is your kind of main philosophy? Because I know a lot of people have kind of different ideologies and different philosophies and teachings they follow, and from the cultures they hail from, or some cultures they adopt to their own identity. So is there some kind of, I don't know, a Buddhist chant, or I don't know?
Look, I think collectively, my whole beliefs, and it's not anything connected to any level of religion or spiritual leader or anything, but experiencing what we've gone through. I'm just coming out of my 5th lockdown in Melbourne, Australia,
Yes.
and I'm a believer in the human experience. And when I say the human experience, I want to have the ability to do what I want, when I want, with whoever I want. And whether that's what I used to do, jump on a plane, say to my wife, one day I'm going to Singapore tomorrow, and just do that. And then, you know, I've taken my family. I took both my kids before age 12 weeks on an overseas trip. But the ability to experience what the world has to offer, I think for me is what I live by. So complete and utter freedom. Within the matrix of, you've got to use a passport and you've got to use money and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think even more so after the last 18 months of being locked down, I feel that stands out even more today.
Yeah, you're a taxpayer before you're a human, I gather, which
Yeah.
everyone is, unfortunately. But I don't know if it's a political kind of a question, but it doesn't matter. So we're talking about digital marketing essentially. That is what I was trying to get to, and I failed, but now we're going to talk about it. So there are a few kind of methods, shall we say, to digital marketing, and a lot of people have, maybe a wrong approach or a wrong kind of thinking about digital marketing. So what are sort of the common mistakes, that the highlight reel, shall we say, of mistakes while digital marketing?
I think one of the biggest one is, faking it till you're making it. Like if you're not showing your true authentic self,
Mm,
you will get caught out.
yeah.
Like if you're living a lie, I think that's the ultimate disrespect to any potential client that you may be attracting to you. So I think that there is ultimately the guy that's got the photo behind the car that he doesn't own is not
It's,
exactly the best way to do it. I
it's,
think
it's
not
not
having a good,
Photoshop well, so
yeah. I think also, I guess, having, I guess, not the right people around you. So for me, I have a podcasting team, I have a creative team, I have a funnel team, I have the right types of people around me to advise me, because in everything in life, you can't be an expert at everything, but it's important if you know how to get the right people around you. That's critical. So I think that's a big thing that people will often fail at, but also having no, I guess, real true plan in place so that they don't have any sort of consistency with what they're doing. I think that's a common trap that people fall into, just haphazardly going, hey, I'm going to put this photo up today. Just for the sake of it. Like that's a common trap that people fall into. Not collecting people's information is also a common trap that people fall into. So moving people from social media into some form of communication tool like a CRM is a common trap that people fall into as well. There's 4 for you. If you want any more, I could probably keep going.
Yeah, so maybe try to keep going, but to say to the point, like posting just for posting, just to to kind of try to bug the algorithm and say I am here, hear me roar or hear me silent, I know. But um just to press on the point of posting just for posting. Now, what is the delicate art, shall we say, of posting and constructing a sentence and a hashtag and lines and perforated lines and the kind of logical order, yeah, of
I
post.
think ultimately the overarching message I would say is posting consistent quality content. That would be like the number one thing to be doing. And whether it's, like, not posting, let's call it communicating, because it could be, through a podcast, it could be to an email to your email list or a blog post, or it could be through all sorts of different mediums. But the idea of communicating consistently to your audience high quality, evergreen content. So if you're, just simply posting about nothing and you're not really either educating or entertaining or inspiring your audience, you lose your audience. So I think that collectively at a real high level, the finer detail of that, as I sort of mentioned, is I have, I guess, my teams of experts to do the micro work around, the hashtags and the copy and the design type of stuff. And I just, have a meeting with them and Mark approve everything. So I'm probably not the detailed expert on all the different, how many hashtags you should have, but overarchingly, I would say that the whole main game is to provide consistent quality content.
Yeah. So how you whittle down your subject matter or focus on the audience you want to attract to your product, essentially, that you're marketing.
Yeah, I think for me, like as a content creator for my book, You've Got One Shot, which is around
Yeah.
really around inspiration and education for people. So my content is not physical product based in terms of like selling a vacuum cleaner or something like that. I'm all about inspiring or educating. So with my content buckets, I have my podcast where I've interviewed over 150 of the top 1% entrepreneurs in the world. So I've got this
Nice.
content bucket of that. And, for the example, I interviewed Dr. John Demartini,
Mhm.
well-known
Yeah.
guru. And when we pulled our interview apart, I then reconverted or repurposed all of that content into sort of micro content pieces, a few
Yeah.
quotes, so sort of like break down that pillar content into all different varieties to get across all the different platforms as well. So sort of leveraging and scaling content that I'm creating. So my podcast is one key area, but I also also use some of my talks. So I've spoken in front of 15,000 people in stadiums before. So I might capture some of that I'm doing and break that down as well. So it's a lot of it is around re-engineering your content that you're creating. And sticking to different themes that all align. So if I'm about inspiration, education, sometimes it might be quotes, sometimes it might be interviews, sometimes it might be storytelling, sometimes it could be me showing lifestyle as a lifestyle entrepreneur. It might be just an image of me sitting back in Bora Bora, for example, and say, make every day a perfect day. And that could be the content as well.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Also, I just want to end this conversation with asking you something that is bugging a lot of people. And now in the era of the what that I don't want to say, what people start asking the questions, my time is worth much more than I'm putting in so many hours. I'm clocking in, clocking out with nothing to show for it. I'm also a human. I don't want to focus only on business and marketing and entrepreneurship and trying to build a connective network. So how do you balance those two things, the humanity and the business side? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I'll answer it in just open and honest approach, because it's quite easy just to be all fluffy and say, do what aligns with your values or something like that. The truth and reality is the journey of entrepreneurship is a time in the field environment. If I reference, say, someone like Gary Vaynerchuk, he would say, people know me now in the last 8 years as this content creator, but they didn't know me for the 12 years before when I owned Wine Library and I was doing videos on YouTube all those years ago. It took time to build up that profile. I would say in a similar way, my career owning 12 years in the fitness industry, I was building a profile. I was developing skills. I was networking with people. I was getting myself, this certain level of success. And financially, I would say I was making slightly above trading time for money income, owning those businesses. Now, there was a transition phase where I wanted to move to work from home. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to make money online and sell on my gyms. But there was a 3 to 4 year period there where I was crossing over. So my balance of life was really out of balance for a short period of time. There was 3 to 4 years where I would say I sacrificed social activities. I sacrificed, hobbies. I might have sacrificed more quality time with my wife, but it was all for the greater good. So for the last 10 years, I literally can do what I want, when I want, with whoever I want, other than being in a lockdown. But the point is, I had the desire to create a life that by my own personal design. And one of the tools that I've got on my own personal website is a work-life vision book, and that there is a free resource that people can use to start mapping out their work-life vision. Because it's not, if you're in a job today and think in 6 months' time you could be living on a exotic island, without
Bora Bora, yeah.
Yeah, Bora Bora. I've been to Bora Bora 3 times. It's a great spot. But, there's sort of like a little bit of reality needs to be put into place as well. It's skills, it's networking, it's becoming an expert in your niche. There's all sorts of different parts to the equation. But what I say to people, that you do only have one shot at life, so don't go and just live in that matrix of Groundhog Day, where you're going to do the 40-year
Yeah,
plan,
yeah,
40 hours a week, and get to retirement broke, because that's what the reality is. Most people are broke at retirement.
yeah. You're not the Bill Murray, and and you can't live your life several times over. You have one shot, as you said. Um, Now that I've finished questioning you about the human side, what about the business side? What about, the Zoom kind of era that we live in? This will go down in history, probably as the most, if the internet opened up the world, then Zoom really, cracked it wide open, shall we say? Because there are a lot of different kind of disconnective net is spreading wider and wider. So, what do you think about the world where we live only in squares at a time? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good topic to discuss. For me personally, I'm a people's person. I left working behind a desk and looking at numbers and computer screens, so I like human interaction. Now, I built my 7-figure business internationally by traveling the world and going to connect and meet people, and that included lots of coffee shop meetings and live events. And the last 18 months, I do this all day, every day now. So I do call this the same potential as a coffee shop meeting. So you can create scale, because I could be talking to anyone, anywhere in the world, provided time zone, at speed and at cheap, cost effective. So I don't have to fly to Canada to go and sit in a coffee shop with a potential person I want to do business with. You could do speed and scale. But if I had a personal preference, and it may not be the best financial one, I love the human connection of meeting people face to face. So if I can blend both, I would. But I think Zoom does get the same result as a coffee shop meeting. You're in real time, you can see each other, you can communicate effectively, no different to a coffee shop. So I like it, but I would rather experience what the world has to offer.
Yeah. So this was a great talk. I want to thank you so much, Craig, for appearing on my podcast.
No worries. Thanks for having me. And just if anyone wants to find out about Work Life Vision book or my book, just head over to craigschulze.com.
Yeah, the one shot movement. Yeah, you only got one shot. So yeah, better make it count. So thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.
Cheers.
Good day.